So this music, reggae music, is tell the whole world, you know. Telepathically and physically and mentally and spiritually, we are tell them through this music, yeah. Right, and I create down in the Western Hemisphere, yeah. Because it have to cover the whole four corner of the world. That man, woman, and picnic must know themselves and know who is God.
Are you there, Africa, with the bulging and oblong thigh? Sulking Africa, wrought of iron in the fire? Africa of the millions of royal slaves, deported Africa, drifting Africa, are you there? Slowly you vanish, you withdraw into the past, into the tales of castaways, colonial museums, the works of scholars. But I call you back this evening to attend a secret revel.
Water, yeah?
How they do, ma'am? How they do number 7? How they do? How they do number 9? How they do?
Both witches, wizards, priests, and priestesses were brought to Jamaica in the days of slavery. Slave priests and priestesses often turned to sorcery in the conditions of slavery. They became known as obia men and women. The exorcisms of spells in a ritual state of possession was known as Kumina. Kumina caught on among the slaves and became the slave religion.
All right, me is there again.
When the British conquered the Spanish in 1655, they began to bring thousands of slaves to Jamaica from West Africa. From many tribes they came here. The Igbo, the Ashanti, the Uraba, Koromanti, Congo, Widowa, and the Mandingo warrior. Many of the former Spanish slaves had fled to the hills where they fought to preserve their freedom. They were called the maroons, meaning the wild and fierce ones. Nobody can touch them there. As Miss Lou said, who is Jamaica's leading folklorist?
The Maroons, they are the people who boast that they were never slaves because they took to the hills. One of the Maroons is now one of our national heroes, Maroon Nanny. Nanny, she was one woman, she was Codger's sister. And she took her brothers to the hills too, and they tormented the British. They just tormented them the whole time until the British had to sign a peace treaty with them and all that. But which some people didn't like the idea of the Maroons signing the peace treaty because there were a lot of strings attached, you know, to this peace treaty. However, but during the time of that they lived in the hills and they're still there. There are 4 Maroon towns, and you find that they have some of their old songs, the old Maroon songs, have definitely the African strains. Of course, with all the different people that have had influence on Jamaica, you know, you find that different things happen to the songs and all that. But one of this, they used to hold, and they still hold their own courts. And that, you know, for anything that happens here, they hold their own courts. And the song for calling the court, they have a thing called their beng and their kete. The kete is a drum that you still hear sounds of their kete in the Rasta drumming, you know, the Peter.
In slavery days, the drum was banned higher, not only in Jamaica, but throughout the Caribbean and America. For a while, it went underground and was kept alive as a ritual among the free maroons and Buru men in the mountains. Even after emancipation, it was denied popular acceptance and dubbed a heathen non-Christian practice. Today's Rasta music is a continuation of the African heritage of drumming. The Rastafarian influence has weaved its way up through the development and history of Jamaican music. In Jamaica, as the record will show, not a year passed between the 17th and the 19th centuries without a rebellion or even the threat of one. By the 19th century, the slave revolts and French Revolution undermined the whole system of slavery, and with the call for freedom, threatened the economic basis that slavery was founded on. Whatever spare time the slaves had was spent in the cultivation of their own small plots of land given to them by the planters to avoid the responsibility of feeding their slaves. Eventually, they were given Sundays off and were able to make money selling their produce at market. On Sundays and at festivals like Christmas, the slaves made their own entertainment. Bands of musicians beat banjos, tom-toms, blow cow horn, and scrape the bones of animals together. Now, under the influence of European music, long before emancipation, the slaves would dress up, dance, and imitate, thereby ridiculing the antics of the slave master. The quadrille, or first figure dancing, is an African mockery of European dances. For 150 years after the British took over Jamaica and established the slave trade, no attempt had been made to Christianize the slaves. The plantation owners had prevented Christian conversion. The Africans continued to serve African deities. In 1784, George Lyle, a black American Baptist from Georgia and a freed slave, founded a Baptist church in Jamaica, which he called the Ethiopia Baptist Church. He was accompanied by several other black preachers who brought a form of Methodism combined with African religion and music. The success of these preachers was thought to contribute to the rebellion just before the emancipation of the slaves in 1835. In 1861, the Great Revival swept the island. Thousands flocked to revival meetings of Afro-Christian sects. The leaders of these cults were known as shepherds and shepherdesses. the leaders of a band. The band is a group of believers who occupy a yard or religious center.
God, we pray and pray. If you walk with me, I walk with you from here to the slope of grace. You know, if you let the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, oh Lord of mercy, Lord of mercy, Lord of mercy, oh, Lord of mercy. If you let the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, oh Lord. We need this revival. I need a revival. I must apply to the blood of Jesus to get the revival. Journeyman, come journey along with me. Along with me. Oh, journeyman, come journey.
This is a revival meeting. The shepherds bring their bands to celebrate the rites of revival religion. These revival sects are practicing the cultist rites of revival table. The dancing and singing of many revival bands converge on a table spread with various items reputed to have power over the spirits, such as candles, healing chemicals, food, and drink.
Journeyman, come journey.